today's presentation. Thank you. So what was I saying? I was saying that there's this noise. It's a strategic dilemma. You're trying to work out where it is that you're going, where your business is going, what your role is in how it's going to play within the strategic component of your organisation. And I just wanted to see if I could get a bit of a poll here, get a little bit of audience participation here in terms of how many of you feel that you don't know where your role is aligned with the strategic, or you feel like other people in an organisation don't really know how their role aligns with the strategy of an organisation. Any components there? Not sure whether I can actually see the chat at the moment. So, okay, I can't quite work that on at the moment, so we'll just continue from there. If you can put something up, that would be great. So what I'm looking at here is that there's a lot of siloed functions. There's a lot of areas that lack that collaboration between the business and IT. And there's also that rapid technology change that happens, and it's really difficult to keep pace with the innovations that are happening. The resourcing limitations, and then you've got skills that might be limited. So how do we actually bridge that gap? How do we align the investment and the technical capabilities with the business goals so that EA can actually be productive and bring value to the business? One thing that you need to think about is how people only really care when you address their challenges and deliver solutions that matter to them. Often they're really not thinking about what it is. They're just thinking about their needs and how they can get their needs. So if you want to become a trusted partner, you have to be able to think and sit in their shoes and to work out how you can do that. It's quite a challenge. We don't actually sit in the business. So how do we expect to understand the business well enough to have good, thoughtful conversations that lead us to be able to assist a business in a way? So for me, there's many places that these business capability models I've used in the past for great success at actually being able to align the business, to get collaboration with the business, and to see strategic alignment. So it's capability maps and bridges strategy to execution. And what you can see here is what is a capability model? Well, a lot of you may already know what a capability model is, but just on a really quick basis, a capability model is really illustrating what the company currently does in a very high level way of talking about a capability that they do now, and then comparing that capability to what they need to achieve in its strategic goals, so their desired state, so a current and a desired state. So, for example, if a capability like real-time issue resolution is identified as a critical gap, then this points to a business objective of improving customer satisfaction by reducing response times. So capability mapping really do relate to business objectives, but it shows you the what, not the how. So how do we unlock the business potential with these capabilities? Well, capability frameworks are one of the key ways that you do that. And if you look at the stats, places like Capgemini, their report highlighted that organisations leveraging capability models reduced operational costs by about 20% on average. And a different study by McKinsey showed that enterprises with clear capability models reduced the failure rate of IT projects by 30%. So it's collaboration, it's one language, it's the things that we do. So how do we go there? How do we get there? How do we get to mapping the strategy to the capabilities or vice versa? So first of all, you define those core capabilities, focusing on the critical functions. And then if you need to, you go down to that next level, because depending on the work that you're doing, you might be talking about a more detailed section that you really need to work on rather than something high level. So you create the sub-hierarchies and the sub-capabilities for your overarching one, because it's always great to have one that sits at the top that's super simplified, and then smaller, more detailed sub-capabilities as you need them for the task at hand. Then I'm going to show you a little bit more today about how you assess the capability maturity and show the varying views that you can have that really give this leverage through creating heat maps, either with creating heat maps of tech, of people, of process, of strategic value. And then throughout the strategic planning cycle, you're often looking at identifying trends, working out what the key themes are in the strategy. And this is where you can link these business goals to the capability or the lack of capability, and you can understand and highlight and have those discussions about what the need is. And from that, you actually then are able to start looking at, well, what are the initiatives that need to either bring this capability up a level of maturity, or what is the new transition for technology to enable a capability in the organisation, or what is something completely new that we need to do, a new capability because we want to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace and we currently don't do that. But within those initiatives, then you've now started to get your IT roadmap highlighting how you're actually matching to your strategy. And that roadmap might have people and process and technology changes within it. So now I call it time for the crayons, just to make it a little bit more fun and something a bit more memorable, because the key component of actually doing capability mapping is when you start to get your different views of them. So this is the real crux, right? Our whole job as an enterprise architect is trying to make the complex simple, the typical EA tagline, right? So this is how we can do it. We can get a map on one page. We can start to show the maturity, whether or not it's a gap, it's got low maturity, it's medium, or it's mature. And it starts to give that visual overlay of understanding the complexity of the organisation, of the domain, of a particular problem. It's got so many uses. It's really exciting. If you're not using capability mapping by now to help your strategic outline or even your solution designs to understand which areas you're touching, then start using it today, is my recommendation. So this one here, this was just looking at how do we highlight all the different ways that you can do those overlays. So what you can see here is that there's many ways to do an overlay and to show something on a page. So you can show all the projects that are at hand, like you can color code this by all in-flight projects, all planned projects, and see how much is actually going on. And then you can highlight over the top of that the resources contention for those. And all of a sudden, you've got a really strong visual representation that everybody has more ability to understand and isn't overly wordy and is able to articulate the key messages at hand. Equally, you can show a capability maturity and which ones you want to actually improve, or you're looking at various other things from the strategic priority. You've already done your strategy work. Now you're just going to show which ones are actually on the strategic roadmap. Or you're looking at how does the value stream and what capabilities support a value stream. Another one is even how are you sourcing? Are you insourcing or outsourcing? So these maps are incredibly powerful at providing multiple views depending on what it is that you need to do at the time. And they're a very, very simplified way for people to be on the same page. The capability map transforms complexity into that actionable clarity. So what are the benefits? Well, the key benefit is it provides a common language between business and IT. If you can get on the same wording for your capability mapping, then now you're talking the business language. You can then look at all of those mappings that we just spoke about a minute ago, and you can actually determine how is our strategy going. You can collaborate with it. It really empowers your decision-making capability because you can see the gaps. You can see the resource contentions. You can see all the problems, and you can see them relatively easily, more easily than most other methods. And it also allows you to you can also really use it to sort of get innovative. You can start to, as I was saying before, if you've identified trends and identified capabilities that the business currently doesn't have because you've been an enterprise architect that's been keeping up with the current trends and the business is not keeping up with it so much, then you're able to be in that position to start having an innovative discussion with the business about have they thought of, or these technologies actually also support these future state scenarios. So it really puts you in that hot seat to have those discussions. And most of the business want to know about the cost optimization. If you're not looking at agility, how are you looking at efficiency? So if you look at the cost optimization, multiple technologies using for the same capability, do you need them all? Have you got multiple areas that are supporting the same services and same capabilities? Can you consolidate them? So there's lots of cost optimization opportunities as well that can be garnered from capability heat maps. So putting it all together, a simplified view, it's about driving strategic ability. So taking it that next step, first of all, the capability map bridges the gap between insight and action. And now what you're going to do with that is work out how to relate that to my strategic roadmaps. So what you can see here is you've identified in the capability mapping something like poor customer retention rates and a lack of actionable insights for personal customer experience. And you might have done that through your workshops or through the conversations you've had with the business, or because of your own knowledge, or various different methods that you've used to get that indication in your strategic planning. But your customer relationship management is not up to scratch. So one of the initiatives that you're looking is to have an AI-driven CRM for personal engagement, that's related to a customer-centric theme. And the business objective is really about increasing the lifetime value of the customer. So you've got a direct link between strategy and execution. So just in more of a summary slide there, what is the problem? The biggest problem is the misalignment between business and IT creates noise. It's that disconnected silos, the rapid technology changes and communication gaps. There's really nothing about it, because a lot of people try to talk without anything, without any paperwork in front of them, without anything. And they just think that conversation is going to get you there. Conversation doesn't get you there. Long, wordy documents don't get you there. Quite simplified maps do get you there. In my experience, they really do get you there. And they're really powerful once you can really get the use of them. You can change that cultural aspect to utilising them, and you can actually drive your strategic roadmaps from them. So they do provide that structured framework as well. And that result, as I was saying, it's a prioritised executable roadmap that bridges strategy and execution. So in summary, the 5 key takeaways would be: understand the business, address the challenges that actually matter to the person, really find out what does matter to them, use your capability mapping as a common theme to language to have those conversations. Do your colouring in and figure out which ones of them are the pain points so that you can do some more research and come back. Deliver it iteratively. Start small. I've often seen people who are really stuck on capability maps, and I think one of the key things to remember is we're not here to spend months on doing a capability map. We do not have to do really detailed capability maps. It's about starting small. It's about making it a high level so that it can stand the test of time. And then what you want to do is scale fast, adapt based on the feedback, and make it a living document. So you want to drive and identify those focus areas, map the focus areas, understand the pain points, understand the innovative ideas that you want to do, understand the cost efficiencies, and then you can get to communicating effectively and ensure that you've got effective collaboration right through the process. So there's a lot of things there that I think are really kind of a key takeaway from those. One of the things, as I said to you, that there's a lot of people that have actually spent too long on developing a capability map, or the capability map is so large that it becomes complicated. I do think one of that very, very key takeaways is to keep it small, to keep it really, really concise. You can use reference architectures. There's often some reference ones. I sometime back did a security capability map, and I did look at a number of the reference architectures, both from Microsoft, from the Department of Defense in the US, and a number of other places, and even some vendors. But sometimes they were still just too complicated. So what I did is I took all of those and I consolidated them into one smaller, more articulate version that was going to be fit for the organisation that I was working at and still fitted on one page nice and succinctly. And I think that's one of the key challenges in capability mapping. But if you do make it simple enough, then that's how you can communicate most effectively. So that's me. Thank you very much. Really happy to have you come along to this session. And I'd just like to say, open the questions with how does your organisation ensure alignment between business and IT?
Okay, thanks for a great presentation, Kathy. We've got a couple of questions that have come in. So first one from Jane.
I can't see them.
In a cost-constrained environment, how do you go about convincing executives of there is enough value in business capability modelling to get it funded?
That's a good question. Yes, it's not always easily funded. I think sometimes it's like most things. If it's not done in the organisation, you sort of have to do it first to prove it, and that can be a challenge. I do think, though, that you don't necessarily need to take a long time to do a capability mapping. I think if you've been working in the area, you can come up with a fair set. You can use ChatGPT now, and it'll tell you all the capabilities in supply chain management, and you can use that. The key thing is actually knowing that when you're using the words, that you'd also have a area that highlights the definition of what that capability is. But probably in an hour or something, if you just wanted to do something like supply chain management, you could come up with a capability map and draw it on a page similar to the one I had in the deck earlier. And then it's just about really starting those conversations with someone. So it's really trying to use another initiative that you're already working on and go, oh, I'm just going to colour that in because that's what we're talking about here. So you can start to sort of use it in action as you're going.
Okay, wonderful. And then from Michael, he's saying, thank you. I've always advocated a show, don't tell approach to talking to the business about capability maps, i.e. don't talk about the map, but their problem. How have you introduced them to stakeholders? What worked, what didn't?
That's a good question. I think it's mostly about drawing out information before you do that. That like you were saying there, you're sort of having discussions with them. But in those discussions, you're drawing out information. So sometimes you go away and you put that information and you do a little bit more research, but you've started to collate it a bit yourself. So I then feel that you are in a position to show, because what you've done is you're then showing that you're using the information that they've given you and you've then got something to provide back. Otherwise, you're just coming to the table again with the same thing and you're not really showing. So I actually think there's a real value in showing. And I think you've just got to still pick the business representatives that you're doing that with. And sometimes it's your internal team. So like a security one, it might be all the heads of security. So they're still the business heads of security. And in more challenging other areas might be some of the true business areas. But nonetheless, if you have an initiative that you're working on as an enterprise architect or as a group, then that's a time to highlight very easily, if you have that map, the breadth and depth of the component that you're actually working on. And I've used it for I've used it for large transformations as well, where it showed the level of change across the organisation for a large transformation. So fairly quickly, they sell themselves.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, thank you for a great session, Kathy. We've actually got 4 minutes left. So any other final questions before we, if not, we'll shut things down. Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, thank you for a great session, Kathy. And yeah, the next presentation will be starting shortly in roughly 4 minutes. So we'll see you all there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you.
Now, when I actually try to understand that how this technology can be applied to a business world, we can explore some of the key use cases, like the one that I have mentioned in a slide, like natural language processes actually enables the business to deploy intelligent chatbots, for an example, the 24/7 customer supports. Now, these bots can actually seamlessly answer the pre-created questions or resolve the queries to our customers. Now, for example, we all have been seeing this one in the banking. Of course, I'm taking a bit of banking and insurances examples because I belong to that domain, so I have more insight onto that. In banking, the chatbots can actually provide the